Hello everybody, welcome to another edition of Journey to Becoming a Head Coach. As always, I'm your host, Jeff Freeman, and today we're going to go over something that I found and I enjoy and I really want to install at some point in my life. It is the two-punter rugby system. So, and everyone's going to be looking at me like, wait, what, you're going to use two punters? Yes, I am, eventually. So, and it goes really well with the shield punt that we already have in. So, for those of you that aren't familiar with the shield punt or the shield look, so you have a certain amount of distance. We kind of start with the 2 yards here, 2.5, and 3 yards, and our original shield look looks like that. That's our original shield look. So the nice thing is, if I ever find a punter that's a left footer and a right footer, all that happens is now I have a left punter and a right punter. So we line up, these guys can widen a little bit more, kind of towards the edge. It's because normally I have them match their inside foot to the outside foot of the center. So his left foot matches his right foot matches his left foot. So it makes that nice streamlined look. Now I'll probably adjust it to where they're matching the inside foot here. So his right foot will match that left foot, his left foot will match the right foot. So we have some more distance between these two. Where did I find this? I was searching up, trying to do some research on shield punt, and a two-punter rugby system just happened to pop up. Honestly, I found it last year. Can't even remember the website I found it on. Can't even remember the coach that was running it. Just found it, kind of fell in love with it because, again, it fits with our spread punt formation, and it fits with our shield punt, and all I do is back one guy off, and we're right here. So essentially all that happens is we'll line up, we'll look at it. I mean, for example, like let's just say they want to try and block it, and they're lining up, they're lining up 6 dudes over here, and they only got 3 dudes over here, and they got 2 returners, or even, they got 4 over here, then I can sit back and be, all right, rugby right. So all that's going to happen is he's going to snap it to the right punter. Everyone's going to do their kind of rugby block style. He's going to attack first threat to the outside. He's going to attack first next threat. And he's going to attack the line of scrimmage, and either he's going to go for it or he's going to kick it, and this punter's just going to play cleanup, anything that gets through, which more often than not is probably going to be this guy, because again our center is releasing straight off the bat, so straight up to the ball. So again, it's going to be one of those kinds of fun, interesting scenarios to put in if I ever have a chance to put in. Now supposedly I have a left-footed punter coming up to the freshman ranks, so in a year or two, might be putting this in at the freshman level. And just be like, hey, you guys are going to play with it. You're going to be the first to kind of dabble in it, have a left-footed punter and a right-footed punter. And that's kind of the thing, is that now I have one more advantage to where I can teach these guys, be like, look, if you got more on this side, less on this side, call the rugby punt to that side. Now, can that get tricky? Because one thing I thought about was like, okay, well, if I'm going to bring the punt, I'm going to bring it from the field side. So if we're on the boundary, are we really going to run it in the boundary? Thought to myself, why not? There's not a harm in trying to run things into the boundary, especially if we have more blockers. So if you're looking at this and we're able to get through that block or even pick that up with the punter, I now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys to block 3, plus my runner. So if they decide to bring a block from that side, by all means, go for it. So again, we kind of have that numbers advantage in that event. They try to do that. Now, of course, let's just say they line up, like most teams tend to do, line up against us in that shield punt formation. Most of the time, we got something that looked like, so if I give you our new, if we get to do this, either this year or the oncoming years, I mean, we normally had something that looked like, and I'm just kind of giving them titles, don't even know if that's really who they were, but we usually got something like that, where we had somebody in every gap, there was a couple of backers off, and that's essentially what it looked like. So if it was like this, I'd probably just sit back and look, depending on where. If we're in the middle of the field, I'm going to go with my stronger punter. If my punter's if I have a left-footed punter that's better, we're going to run left. If we have a right-footed punter that's better, we're going to go to the right. I'm going to base it on the strength of the punter. If we're on the boundary, Again, I think, in my opinion, we would probably tend to go to the wide side more, give him more room to work with, so then that way he can attack that line of scrimmage and get going. Because again, everyone's just blocking first outside threat. It's all basically just kind of like a scoop block, trying to get to the outside of the nearest outside guy. My center's releasing automatically. Again, just trying to release and get to the inside shade of that. Snap comes, punter's attacking the line of scrimmage, attacking first threat, attacking second threat, playing cleanup. So that'd be the nice kind of thing about it, is we got two blockers guarding our punter. So working with the field side, I think, would be a great baseline call. Now, as teams kind of, again, adjust to it later on in the season, then we start calling more into the boundary, or we alternate based on what we see. But the nice part about it is it gives you, again, as we always talk about, kind of the last man with the marker. You line up, and they want to bring a punt block, you automatically now have the marker in your hand at the very end. So again, if we line up in this kind of new front and formation, even if they gave us a 5-man, I know I kind of really over-exaggerated and gave you that 6 look, but I mean, even if they just gave you a 5-man look and a 4-man look over here, and then they got a backer and then the returner, so they still have 5 over here, they got 4 over there, it's a left foot kick. I mean, that's pretty simple stuff. Try to reach through, center, just go. And again, reach to the outside, reach to the outside, reach to the outside if you can get there. And then we got cleanup, first outside threat, next inside threat, back block, and then attack the line of scrimmage and punt when you're threatened. So again, they got 4, we got 5 blockers. So that's kind of the nice thing about this, is that we're the last, we got the marker at the end. So you line up in balance formation, that's fine, because we can then, we just attack either to the strength of our punter or the strength of the field, or if you have a really good returner and that returner's trying to guess, then we just punt away from that returner and we rugby punt it. And again, the rugby punt's kind of nice because you attack the line of scrimmage until you're threatened. So they can't set up a return right away because they have to make sure that you kick the ball. So what I kind of like about rugby style punt is that, especially when you're on their side of the 50, maybe you're too far away for a field goal, but you're not close enough to really try for it on 4th down. Then the nice thing about this is it's kind of like an extra play, because if they all take off to set up a return, your punter can get a free 1st down. And then if they sit there, well, now your pursuit is getting down the field, and then he can punt it, and now your pursuit's down the field, and they still don't get a return. So it's a nice advantage if you can get to it. And even then, let's just say, for example, they come out in that base look, and they're just saying, you know what, we don't really care, we don't want you to be able to kick it any which way, we're not going to give you a read like we've noticed you've been getting from other teams. We're not going to give you that, we're just going to line up, we're going to line up in the gaps, and we're going to say, you make the call, you figure it out. Okay, well, even in that scenario, let's say we wanted to call a designated run to some degree, then okay, we can call rugby right, especially to the field side, and we can still get the fake out because, again, even if your center releases and you say, hey, we're going to tell them, we're going to go rugby right keep, and we're going to tell them to keep it because we just feel like they're not ready for it. Again, attack first outside threat, The center can attack first outside threat. If we were going to say like rugby right keep, and then again, attack first threat, attack first inside threat, clean up, and attack first gap you see, and go. So you still have, in that regard now, you still have 6 to block their 4. 5 if this safety or backer, whoever this is, makes a good read. So you still have 6 to block their 5. Because if this guy does his job and gets through, and this punter cleans up anything coming inside, there's no way that these 3 should make the play. There's no way. Especially if that punter is fast and athletic enough. And that's, again, another key piece. Are you going to call a fake knowing that, let's just say it's 4th and 4 or 4th and 5, and your punter's 12 yards back, well, that's like a 16 to 18 yard run that he's got to go just to get the first down. So understand, you got to call this knowing what your punters can do versus what they can't do. Now, as far as fakes, haven't looked a lot into fakes just because at the same time when you're looking at this, you have built-in fakes already there. Because, like I said, if you're able to read it, if they give you a 5 and 4 look, then you already have the read. If they don't give you that look, obviously you can come up with some punt pass. Obviously you can come up with some punt pass looks, because what you can do out of this is, let's just say you call rugby right, and then you want to call rugby right pass. Everyone still blocks, and then the nice thing about it is you can release this backside guy right here. You can release into a post route. I wouldn't release him towards a returner. I'd release him more on a corner or just a straight go route. Because again, if you're running rugby right, you just tell everyone, hey, make sure you attack nearest outside threat, block outside, and then the punter can strategically take a step up, he gets nothing, and then block back. And then it's just 1, 2, and throw. Especially if you get, depending on the front, if it's 4 on 4, if they got 4 and 4, 5 and 4, 6 and 4, or if if they give you the old, just the basic generic, look that most people try to give. Even if they give this and you're taking off, he can pretend he can take a jab step and then go, and it's just 1, 2, and throw him open. So again, that's got to be a good receiver. So that could be the nice thing, and that corner's got to play catch up, because especially if you take a step like you're gonna block and then go, that's got to be the move. Sorry, I drew it like that, but I drew it like that just kind of give you an idea of what they should run. But if he takes a 1 and then goes and either releases outside or releases straight up, your punter's just going 1, 2, plant, and then throw him open. Don't throw it so deep that that returner can get to it, but throw it deep enough to where this corner backer's got to chase. So that sets you up for an easy thing like that. What else can set you up is, again, just like my original shield punt, you have option if you want to run option out of this. Because now, what do you got? You got 4 running backs in the backfield. So if you're able, again, based on personnel, based on your scheme, what can you do? But you got 4 running backs back here. And essentially you either got 2 running backs and 2 fullbacks, or you got 2 quarterbacks and 2 running backs. Because you can run option, you can run option pass if you want. I think that's kind of a waste, to be brutally honest. Like, based out of our original shield punt, when we have more of this look, and our shield punt, we optioned here, we snap here, he directly options back to this guy, and then he releases and blocks first threat. As soon as he catches, it's 1, 2, and he's throwing to this receiver, and we're trying to set up option and option pass. Obviously we use option to set up option pass, but that's kind of how we set that up. But you don't have to waste that motion and that extra step when you're here, especially for the option pass. You can just snap it, have him take 1, 2, and go. Now, if you want to run regular option, you can do that, direct snap here, and you can run the option. The only thing is, again, you got to count. You don't want to run it to the 5-man side because you don't have enough blockers. So if you got that 4-man setup here, you're good, because you can down block, down block, down block, you're fine. But if you got that 5-man setup, you can still attempt it, but I would say it becomes a little bit tricky if you got something like that. Because now the down blocks aren't as clean, and you could get some leakage to where you have to pitch it early. So again, being the last person with the pen, if you get a 4x4 setup, which is primarily what we got a lot of, we got primarily this. And again, I'm labeling these guys. I can't tell you if that was the corner or the backer. Most likely that was probably the safety more than a corner. But the corners are usually backed off. But in any case, if you get something like this, then you can run it to either side. It's kind of a you pick them. Who's your better pitch guy? Who's your better runner? Because now, again, you have the down blocks. have a scoop block backside, and now you have to where you can option this last man right here. Attack him, he comes, pitch it, get going. And now your punter's got to outrun this guy. That's if your center can't help and either help here or release and get there. And then you still have help backside for cleanup and cleanup to make sure nobody else gets there. So again, this two-punter system, if you find yourself and you have a left-footed and right-footed punter, please let me know if you're able to install this. Again, I would love to be able to see it actually out in the world. I don't have a left-footed punter yet, and if people know that I don't have a left-footed punter and I just throw somebody out there, they might figure out, oh, he doesn't have the left-footed punter, so let's just make sure we always go right. So I want to see if I can get a left-footed punter to really implement this, because again, I just feel like it gives us a special teams advantage that we haven't had before. And again, like I said, I wish I had written down where I got it, where I found it, but I can't tell you. All I can tell you is I got the formation and I got the basics, which are, again, just as a reminder, the basics are you set it up however you want. I liked it because it just goes right with our shield punt, and I will probably condense a little bit, because normally when we run rugby, like again, when we do our shield, this is 2, 2.5, 3. We'd probably shorten that down to where it's 2.5, 2, 1.5. We'd probably shorten everything down because we want to be able to get to the edge. So we probably shorten everything down when we want to run this two-punter system and when we want to run our rugby punt. Because remember, our rugby punt looks like this. We actually basically tell you we're running rugby because we always put a wing out there. Now, have I tried to run rugby left yet? No, because I know people are kind of setting this up, but I set that up to get an edge. And also it could set up for us, because what some people might try to do, and this is what I'm hoping people do, is they'll kind of do more of this kind of look now. And again, just kind of filling in numbers and stuff like that. Because now if they give me that 5-person setup, it sets up my option pass that I can run. Because now they have one less guy out here. So they got that 5 and 4. And there's their returner. They got maybe one back or safety somewhere to harass my center. Because now I can get a double team here, or even get a nice down block set up, and now we can still run option a little bit wider. So even though it's rugby, we can still run rugby option if I really wanted to. But in any case, that's how I really liked the two-punter system, just by finding it. The only thing I added that I showed you guys were the fakes, because there weren't any fakes when I found it. Again, when I found it, it was literally just this setup. And then it was, okay, read, what do you have? Do you have an advantage? Which side do you have an advantage? Do they have 2 returners? If so, who's the weaker returner? Then you'll kick it to that returner, so that way it sets you up. So you can kick based on returners, you can kick based on the front, you can kick based on field position. So you have 3 different things that you can set up just by what they line up and show you. We had a couple teams that lined up with 2 returners. I knew which returner was the better one, so I'd tell my punter, hey, don't punt towards him. But it would work a hell of a lot more if I had a 2-punter system, and if this guy was their weaker returner, let's just run rugby left, force him to make the return. Now, granted, there's always that ability where they can throw it if they work on that and stuff like that. But at the same time, just giving that opportunity, to giving us this advantage, I think is something that I'm looking to implement. It's, again, this is strictly personnel based. If you don't have that left-footed kicker, you can't run this, in my opinion. Now, maybe some of you will see this and you'll be like, hey, watch this, Freeman, I'm going to run it right now. So, if you're able to do it and you don't have a left-footed kicker, please tell me how you did it, because I would love to know, because I'm just thinking personnel-wise, you have to have that left-footed kicker in order to run it. So, thank you all. This is kind of a short video because, again, I found it, I loved it, I like it, I want to implement it, I want to share it, because I would be very interested to see who has run this, if anyone's run it, or if it's something I just found that was schematically out there in the worlds of the internet, and it was just there and no one's ever run it, and they're like, this is insane, and maybe this will catch fire. I don't know, we'll see. But again, I think you need a left-footed kicker and a right-footed kicker to really pull it off, and it just gives you another advantage to put the defense / the return team at risk and put some extra stress on them. So, thank you all again. As always, like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, anything like that. If there's something else you want me to go over, I appreciate all the love and support. Remember, be great, push limits, and hold the line.